Hello. Today I'm gonna do an exercise from this book, The Solo Game Master's Guide from Geek Gamers, published by Modifius. Of course, Geek Gamers is a YouTuber about who's doing videos about solo gaming, and I'm quite inspired by her, and I'm wanting to learn to play solo. I've played a bit of solo in the new Walking Dead from Free League, but I would like to play some Knave 2nd edition because it's on its way over the ocean somewhere in this world. Right now I only have it on PDF, but the printed copy will arrive sometime. It already exists somewhere. Okay, so a few weeks ago I rolled some characters. So I have this tool, a puncher. It can make beautiful round holes, but then also these round shapes. And it's become a habit of mine to go to second-hand bookstores and buy art books with colorful pictures and paintings in them, and I will punch out characters like this or this. And a few weeks ago I created some characters. I basically just rolled them randomly using the Knave 2nd edition PDF. And the characters that came up were Danish Snotshot, a hermit. And I chose hermit because of the picture. That wasn't random. But smuggler was random. So he has been a hermit, some kind of monk. Now he's a smuggler. And he has a staff and some fungi, pulleys, rope, a basket, stuff like that. Like burgling tools. So he has become a criminal in the city. Then there's Cecilia Greyworthy, who's a cut purse and a pirate. Maybe she has been a pirate and now she's ended up in the city somehow and lives on the street as a cut purse. And of course she has some pirate stuff like a sextant and a cannonball and a grappling hook. Very cool stuff. In Knave you always roll two backgrounds, or two careers they're called, and with every career there's I think 3 items that fit the career, which gives the character some flavor, I think. Then there's Archibald Addersea, a jailer and a knight. I think I chose knight because of the picture, but he's been a jailer before, so he's been working in a prison, which is interesting. I will come back to that later. And of course he's got some mail shirt and a breastplate and a shield and a longsword like a knight. He still has his gear. Actually he is a knight now, so he has his knight gear, of course. I don't know which gear is jailer gear, maybe the padlock and the chain. That makes sense. And a wine jug, of course. He's been drinking in jail. Then there's Virgil Fairmont, who's a folklorist and a pilgrim. And they were all random. So folklorist, I thought of him as a collector of folk stories and also a storyteller who travels around telling fairy tales and other stories of legend, and also a pilgrim. They go kind of hand in hand. He has some prophecy, some bones, a relic, scales, weird stuff, and a staff, and some kind of letter of passage, so he can gain entry somewhere. And then there's Benedict Cresslong, who is a jester. I chose jester because of the picture, some kind of white clown, and he used to be a candle maker, so he has a scepter, a donkey head, motley. I forgot what a motley is. 10 candles and lamp oil, wax, stuff like that. And he also has a spell because of his intelligence, which is web, shoot, int, and when it says int, it means his intelligence score, so that's 2. So shoot 2 times 40 feet of strong and sticky web, which can be removed by fire. And sort inanimate items into 2 categories, and it has to be visible categories, like kitchen gear, weapons, whatever. So then I found this exercise in the book Solo Game Master's Guide. And it says I have to get one of my favorite games. She actually means a board game, but I don't really have board games. I'm only into role-playing games. Of course we have some board games, but that's more like Monopoly and stuff like that. But I thought of Knave, and I was instructed by this to come up with a character and a location and enemies. And I should give the character a task and create some kind of story. So I did, and I used Knave, the random tables in Knave, for building. And now I wrote it in Danish because it's my native language. Låsesmed, it means locksmith. So it's the locksmith's shop, the locksmithery in the city. And for street detail, I rolled an item, and then I took the item table and rolled scroll, and then the scroll spell table said anthropomorphize. You can change into... No, you can't change into an animal. Actually, you can turn intelligence, number of animals, intelligent for a short amount of time, I think. And then I looked at the bestiary in Knave, and my eyes caught the bandit, which fits this city quite well, I think. And then I thought about the gang of bandits having some kind of leader and used the tables again for a name, Percival, who is a trickster. And then, of course, immediately I thought about the white clown Benedict Crestlong, the jester, the white jester. So it could be some kind of nemesis to Benedict. He's supposed to have very long hair, and he's obsessed by the idea of getting free of his past in the jail. That was also randomly selected. And now, of course, I think about Archibald Attersea, the former jailer. So he might know this person from the jail. Why was he in jail? I don't know, but maybe it has something to do with the jester, former candlemaker. They know each other somehow, and Archibald is his former jailer, so that might also be in one of his enemies. He has a gang of saboteurs, and he has a habit of singing. So that might be a clue that he's around. You hear some singing in the alley, it might be him. And then I used some AI, because I created the details first using random tables. So I wanted to create something like that and not choose a random picture this time. So I printed him, put him on this wooden disc, and I also printed one more picture of him. So now I'm just gonna create him. And I thought the situation would be something like the street with a scroll lying around. And then when I created the other characters, I rolled for a mission. And it came up with Patrol City, political clout, to gain political clout influence, I think. And they got that mission from a truthful person with wispy hair. An honest man called Catman, who's some kind of counselor with wispy hair. And he told them, patrol the city by night. The mayor would like that. So they would gain some kind of political influence by doing this mission. And they're walking down this dusty road. And then I didn't get further back then, but now I have this dusty street with the scroll in the middle. So they're patrolling, and they are seeing this strange kind of scroll lying around. And of course it's interesting to Benedict, because he is intelligent and he has already some magical spells in books. Every spell is one book in this game. So I think web is some kind of sticky, spidery book, like a book wrapped in spider webs everywhere. And the book of sorting is some kind of almost spreadsheet category book, which has some kind of overview or weapons and trinkets and stuff like that. Actually, like an inventory table in an RPG book, divided by categories. So he has those two books, and he's interested in magic. And of course, this guy, Percival, knows that that would be some kind of bait to get Benedict. And of course, he's hiding behind the locksmith's house. So they're walking this way. I think they're patrolling the city. Maybe not all of them, maybe actually just Archibald and Benedict. That's enough for now. So they're patrolling the muscle knight who knows how to fight, and the white jester poking stupid jokes and actually annoying Archibald a bit. So they find the scroll. What's this? What's this scroll? That's interesting. Let's look at that. Oh, it's a scroll that looks like something with animals and intelligence. Because there's some kind of logo on the scroll with a dog thinking. So there's a dog thinking about stuff. So it means intelligent animals. So they stop, of course. And this is when Percival enters the scene. So now I have to create him as a character. And I think I can remember it almost. First you roll 3d6, 1, 2, 2, which means I get a 1 in strength because it's ability number 1, and dex is number 2, and con is number 3, and so on. And I got 2 for point 2, so he has 2 in dexterity. And I think maybe he gets an extra die because he's strong. No, wait, he has his stupid gang of bandits. That's enough. Okay, so he gets 0 in the other. He has 10 item slots because it's 10 plus con, and he has no constitution, so it's just 10. And he has d6 maximum hit points. So 2 hit points. I think I will give him 1 career because he's already some trickster gang leader. That's what he's doing right now, but maybe before that he was something else. 86 shepherd. Of course, he's from the countryside. He's been a shepherd in his youth, and then he came to the city and became some kind of trickster on the street, a small-time criminal, went to jail, broke out, is trying to escape his criminal past now, and wants some kind of revenge against Benedict Cresslon. So he has, of course, his crook, the shepherd staff. Then he has a harp and a sling. So it's almost a biblical David character. And then he also has a gambeson, which gives him +1 in armor class. Armor class starts at 11, and then for every piece of item or armor, he gets +1. So he has 1 armor point and an AC of 12. Okay, so that's Percival, the former shepherd, now trickster, who wants some revenge. So we have Percival here, hiding behind a house with his gang of evil thugs. Well, they're not evil, they're just criminal. Maybe they're just misunderstood. Let's see what the weather is like. It's actually quite hot this evening. So they are standing behind the locksmith's shop in the warm evening as Archibald and Benedict walk along, and they're looking at this scroll, and of course they are surprising them. Let's see if they somehow discover that these people are hiding behind the house. That would be a wisdom check, and they both have 0 wisdom, so it's a difficulty of, I think normally the difficulty is 11 plus a difficulty modifier. Normally it's 5, so that would be 16. But because Percival has a dexterity of 2, I think it would be even bigger, maybe 2 more, so it would be 18 actually, which is very difficult. 1 and 14, so they are completely oblivious about what is going on in this street. So of course Percival gets a surprise attack before the combat really starts. He uses his sling, and instead of him rolling an attack roll, I want to make the player facing rolls. So I think this one is Sir Archibald, and he is making a defense roll where you take his armor points, and he has some pieces of armor. He has a helmet, a mail shirt, a breastplate, and a shield. That's 4 armor points. So I add that to the d20, and I have to beat the difficulty of 11 plus the level or some kind of other attack value of the enemy. And he has 2 dex. He would normally attack with a dex roll. So I would take his dex of 2 and add that to 11. That's a difficulty of 13. So I have to beat that, and I have +4. So difficulty 13. And I will be using this for the difficulty score. So you can always see what the difficulty is. So +4. Okay, 16. So Percival shoots his sling, but at that moment, Archibald Attersea looks up and he's just about fast enough to lift up his shield and stop the stone from hitting him and Benedict. Actually, I just read in the Knave book that you can add a +5 or -5 modifier, depending on the side of the combat, if there's some kind of positioning or ganging up or surprise or stuff like that. So because they were surprised, they couldn't react that fast. So the difficulty was not 13, it was 18. And he only rolled a 16. So he actually gets damaged by the sling for 1 point of damage, which is actually enough to get him down to 0. So in Knave, when you get 0 hit points, the damage begins to spill over to the inventory. And when the inventory is full of direct damage, wounds, the character dies. So now he's down to 0, and all of the damage he will take from now on is inventory damage. And then you have to write wound or something else on the inventory and cross off the equipment. Okay, so this is a new combat round, of course. Percival jumps out on the street with his thugs behind him and says, "Benedict, my old nemesis, I knew you would stop because of this magical scroll. You've always loved magic scrolls. And you, Archibald, I won't forget you from the prison. The drunken guard who wasn't very nice to me. So now it's payback time." So to determine initiative, you make a charisma check on each side, the leader on each side. So that would be Archibald and Percival. They both have charisma of 0. Percival, 16. Archibald, 10. So it's Percival again. He takes another stone and shoots at Archibald. So that's a difficulty of 13 again. And Archibald rolls to defend with a +4. Oh, not very good. That would be some kind of critical hit, I think. So it says in the Knave rules, when you attack someone and you roll a 1, your weapon breaks. This time, Archibald defends with a 1, so I think one of his armor items will break. So he gets hit with a stone right in the face. He turns his face just a little bit so it won't break his nose and his teeth, but unfortunately it hits his helmet, and the helmet gets dent and rolls off of his head and is useless for now. So now the helmet is bent and he's down to 3 armor points and an AC of 14. Not good. But now it's actually the bandits' turn. So the bandits all have a level of 1, an AC of 13. They all have swords for d6 damage, a morale of 8, and they all have 4 hit points. So these are the 5 bandits. Okay, so the bandits are all level 1, which means the 2 heroes have to defend against a difficulty of 12 using their armor points. Unfortunately, Benedict hasn't got any armor points, and Archibald is down to 3. And I think 2 of these will attack Benedict. So he has to defend against 12 twice. Okay, first defense. Nope. Nope. Which is bad. Of course, they are running up to him with their swords and they slash at him for 1d6 damage each. 5 and 1. So that's 6 damage. Benedict only has 2 hit points. So that's down to 0 hit points. And then he also loses 4 items. For some reason, he's running around with a donkey head. And the donkey head actually gets slashed by one of the swords. He's losing his motley on the ground. I have to get used to just making an X, because otherwise, after the battle, I will just pick up everything and I have to remember what they lost. And I would have to write it again. So now I just cross them off like this. He loses his candles. He has like a bag of candles and they fall to the ground and roll on the street with his wax as well. So he lost 4 items. Normally you would take it from number 1, from the top and down, but I don't understand why that would be better, because that's just a question of putting all the useless stuff on top and having all the valuable stuff in the bottom. And I don't really get why that would be good as a game mechanic. Please comment in the comment section if you know the answer to this. Okay, so now we've got 3 thugs. They run up to Archibald now, and they all attack him. And he has to defend against 12 with a +3, because he has 3 armor points. Okay, 3 attacks. +3, 13, okay. 10, and 1. Oh, so he gets hit twice for 2d6 damage, and he also breaks some of his armor. I think he loses his shield. One of the swords just hits his old shield, and it gets bent and falls down to the ground. And then of course he's down to 0 already, so this is direct damage. 3. Lucky. He could have been dead now. So I think he will lose his padlock. It falls out of his pocket while he jumps around, defending against all these sword hits. His wine jug falls to the ground and breaks. I will delete this permanently, because it's a wine jug and it's made of glass. It's broken. So that's 2. And the banner he has around his shoulder gets torn. So the banner is also permanently broken. Okay, of course, these are wounds. This is not looking good. So now it's time for initiative again. First up it's Percival, 10, and Archibald, 10. One more time. Percival, 17, Archibald, 19. So it's not looking good for our heroes, but it's their turn now. So Archibald takes his longsword, which is d6 damage, and he attacks one of the bandits. And the bandit has an AC of 13. So that's the difficulty score. And Archibald also has a strength +1. So 18. He actually hits one of them. This one for d6 damage. 4. Okay, so he cuts down one of the evil bandits. He pokes him with his sword, and the bandit falls to the ground. Ugh. Okay, so now it's the White Jester's turn. Benedict Creslawn. Benedict jumps a bit back, and then he pulls out one of his hidden scrolls from his pocket. The one with which is not a scroll, which is the sticky spiderwebby book. And he reads some strange spider-sounding words from the book. And then with the other hand, he shoots sticky web for 80 feet, which is very far away, but he just hits them right in the face. And they are constricted by this sticky web. They would have to escape using their strength next time, using an entire turn. Or actually, some other people would have to free them using fire or some cutting material. Okay, so they are constricted, and then it's Percival's turn again. So Percival looks at his dead bandit with fear in his eyes, but also with rage and revenge, all the anger from the past, and now he tries to shoot Archibald again. So Archibald has to defend against 13. Archibald only has armor point of 2 and 13 of armor class. So +2 against 13. Nope. He gets hit by the slingshot. Another stone hits him for 1d4 damage. 4. So he jumps back, but loses his chain, which is in his belt. It makes a lot of noise on the street. The stone hits his chest, making his breastplate unusable. It won't defend him much anymore. And also the mail shirt. Well, no, not his mail shirt. He also loses his 2 rations and gets a wound. Because he lost his helmet, because he rolled a 1, that wasn't a wound, but now it's a wound. But he still fights on. So now it's the 2 bandits. They will attack Archibald, of course. He has 2 armor points, so that's +2. And that's against 13. Actually, it's only against 12 because it's 11 plus level 1. Okay, +2. Nope. Okay, so he gets damaged by one of the swordsmen. One of the bandits pokes him with his sword for 2 damage more. That's a wound here. And the lady's favor. I think the lady's favor is some kind of letter from a lady, which he can use whenever he needs some kind of favor from some knightly order or something like that. When he's poked by the sword, the blood runs down on the lady's favor, this letter he got, and it is now almost useless. At least he has to clean it somehow to make it useful again. And now he actually only has 3 item slots left for damage, so he's in danger. Okay, these 2 guys are still constricted by the spider web. So Benedict is going to hit them with his scepter. So he pulls out his scepter and hits, and he gets a +5 because they're constricted. They are actually defenseless, so that would be direct damage. Enemies in this game don't have direct damage, or they don't have inventory slots, so they just have these 4 hit points. Okay, he just deals damage because it's so easy to hit them. So that's a d4. 2 damage. He hits one of the guys in the head with his jester scepter. Okay, initiative again. Charisma check, 7. Charisma check, 4. So Percival looks in fear to his friends who are constricted by the spider web, and he's still very, very angry. I think he might even run up with his crook, his old shepherd staff, and he's trying to hit the jester who's hitting on the 2 constricted guys. So now we have Benedict who has to defend. He doesn't have any armor points, so that's +0, no bonus at all, and it's against the 1 strength of Percival. So that's a standard difficulty of 11 plus this 1 score, so that's 12. So he's defending against 12. Oh, not very good. D4 damage, 1 damage. Okay, so he loses his rations. His pouch with his bread and cheese falls to the ground as he's hit in the head with this shepherd crook. So now it's a shepherd versus a jester. But, oh, now it's the bandit's turn. These 2 bandits, of course, try to hit Archibald. And Archibald is +2 against a difficulty of 12. 20. He defends very well, actually. This would be comparable to them hitting with a 1, so their weapon breaks. So one of the bandits, he's just about to hit Archibald, but then Archibald pulls up his sword and breaks the bandit's old rusty sword. So now he's weaponless. The other one, he's defending with 13. So after that, he also defends the other one's attack. So now it's their turn. Benedict remembers that he actually has a small flask of lamp oil in his pocket. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any fire, does he? And the fire would also free the other 2 guys from the sticky web. So actually he just has to hit. And he's going to hit the armor class of 12 +0. Okay, he hits. So that's a d4 damage with the scepter. 2 damage. So Percival is down to 0. And now it's Archibald's turn. He will hit the one with the sword. You always have to take out the most dangerous one. So they have a armor class of 13, and he hits with a +1 in strength for this guy with the sword. Okay, he hits him for 1d6 damage. That's 4. Okay, he cuts him down. So another one bites the dust, the dusty street of the city. And the other one is standing there without a sword or anything. Maybe he would use his turn to pick up one of the swords. Okay, so now it's initiative time again. Charisma check, 17. Charisma check, 7. So it's the bandit's turn again. They are still constricted. This guy is trying to pick up the sword. He picks up a sword and swings it at Archibald. He can do that, I think. So Archibald has to defend against 12. Yeah, and he has +2, so that's 16. Okay, so the bandit grabs a sword and tries to swing it at Archibald, but Archibald is faster and just jumps to the side and readies himself for an attack. And then it's Percival who takes his crook and tries to hit Benedict, the jester. And he has a strength of 1, so that's 11 + 1, that's 12. So Benedict tries to defend against 12. 4. Okay, He's hit by 1d4. Damage 1. Not good. Actually, he gets hit now in the pocket where his flask of lamp oil is. So there's lamp oil down his leg. And the bottle is broken. So now it's their turn. So Archibald swings at this last bandit. +1. No, he doesn't hit him. He swings at him, but the bandit is fast and grins at him. And then it's Benedict who is attacking Percival, who has an AC of 12. No, he swings, but Percival jumps to the side. I think they might have the upper hand now. Initiative time. Charisma 6, Charisma 13. So now it's the hero's turn first. And of course Archibald is swinging at this last bandit. AC 13. And he doesn't hit. Benedict the Jester hits Percival with a 7. And he doesn't hit at all. So now it's the bandit's turn. Archibald defends with a +2 against 12. 11. No. He takes d6 damage. 1. Lucky guy. He tries to defend with his sword, but he gets hit on the ring and the ring breaks. So his signet ring is now broken. And Benedict is defending with a +0 against Percival, who has a 12. And he jumps to the side like a jester. So they are having this kind of jester dance over here. So now it's initiative time. Charisma check 15. Charisma check 2. So it's their turn first. Percival doesn't have a sharp object. So he commands the other bandit, the one with the sword, to free those two constricted guys. And then he attacks Benedict. Benedict defends against 12. And it doesn't work. 4 damage. Oh no! Benedict is cut down. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just after yelling, free these two guys. And then he swings his crook at Benedict. And he hits him on the side of his head. So he falls down to the street, bleeding out of his mouth and ears and nose. He's now a dead jester. So now it's Archibald, who's the only one left. The bandit cuts free his two comrades, but it takes some time to cut through the sticky web, and he looks fearfully over his shoulder, because now it's Archibald's turn, and he hits the bandit. And he has his back to him, so I think he gets a +3. So he has a +3 and a +1, that's +4 against 13. Come on, yeah. He hits him. 5 damage, just as the bandit isn't looking, but he's trying to cut through the web. The sword enters his back and exits his chest, and he falls dead to the ground. So now, between all these bloody corpses in the street, standing in blood, it's now Archibald, the former jailer, versus Percival, the trickster. Initiative time. Charisma 11. Charisma 13. It's Archibald. Archibald is trying to hit Percival's AC of 12, and he has a +1. Okay, 19. So he hits him with a 4 damage. I think I will just take them from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. He swings at him. Percival jumps to the side, is exhausted by the battle, but he also swings at Archibald. Archibald has to defend against 12. And he jumps. No, he doesn't jump to the side, he just defends against Percival's crook with a sword. It's no big deal for Archibald. So now it's initiative time. 20 against 7. So it's Percival first. He attacks, and Archibald defends with a +2 against 12. Okay, 19, so 21. So he defends and attacks right back against his AC of 12. Oh no! Archibald swings his sword, but Percival jumps to the side, and Archibald's sword hits the ground and breaks. It's now useless. Archibald is standing without a sword. He looks around. There's corpses everywhere. Maybe he should make a run for it. But no, he can still pick up one of the other swords, actually. So, initiative. 13. 9. Percival grins at Archibald and says, now it's time to die. And he swings his crook. Archibald tries to defend with a +2. Okay, he somehow defends against a crook just with his arms, with his strength. He holds it back and he tries to hit him maybe just with his hands. Maybe he tries to grab the crook, actually. Yeah, he uses his strength against Percival's strength of 1. So that's also 12. So +1. Okay, 19. So he pulls away the crook from Percival and puts it somewhere in his inventory. Ah, yeah, of course, instead of his longsword. So now he has this crook of d4 damage. And that was his turn. So now it's initiative, charisma. 5 and 5. One more time. 18. 2. Okay, so Percival is struck with fear. He's all pale now. He says, please don't. We will stop fighting now. We will help you instead. He steps back, looking fearful, but he grabs his old sling from his back pocket and the last stone, and he tries to hit Archibald with it, who defends against. He has a +2 of dex, so that's a difficulty of 13 actually. And Archibald has a defense of 2. Well, actually, he only has a defense of 1, doesn't he? Because he only has his mail shirt left. +1 against 13. No! He gets hit by the sling with d4 damage. 2. Okay, that's it. Percival almost tricked Archibald. Sorry, we will help you instead. We don't have to die in this battle. Archibald doesn't believe him. He steps a few steps towards him. But then Percival takes out his slingshot and shoots the last stone like David versus Goliath, and he hits Archibald in the head, and Archibald falls dead to the ground. And that's how the story goes sometimes. Percival and his thugs, he frees the 2 thugs left. They lost 3 men, but now he has taken his revenge. He has killed Archibald, his former jailer, and he's killed Benedict Cresslong, his old nemesis from before jail. And maybe this will develop into some kind of adventure with this new character. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope this wasn't too long. I think it was fun. There was a lot of moving parts. I had to concentrate a lot, especially because of this player-facing roles. I'm not used to doing that. I could have just rolled for every bandit attacking, but I thought this would be interesting to try. And I think, actually, even though I haven't tried that before, I thought that the knave system was simple enough, so I could do it. And I think it's a fun system. I'm still a bit confused about the whole inventory stuff, about taking direct damage to inventory. It gives a character like Archibald 12 extra hit points, so they are kind of more heroic than if you would play something like Old School Essentials or stuff like that, or other OSR games. So I'm not sure about this. Please comment. Thank you. Bye.